Sahih al-Bukhari 2699. Narrated al-Bara, when the Prophet intended to perform Umrah in the month of Dhul-Qa'dah, the people of Mecca did not let him enter Mecca till he settled the matter with them by promising to stay in it for 3 days only. When the document of treaty was written, the following was mentioned: these are the terms on which Muhammad, Allah's messenger, agreed to make peace. They said, we will not agree to this, for if we believed that you are Allah's messenger we would not prevent you, but you are Muhammad bin Abdullah. The Prophet said, I am Allah's messenger and also Muhammad bin Abdullah. Then he said to Ali, rub off the words, Allah's messenger, but Ali said, no, by Allah, I will never rub off your name. So, Allah's messenger took the document and wrote, this is what Muhammad bin Abdullah has agreed upon: no arms will be brought into Mecca except in their cases, and nobody from the people of Mecca will be allowed to go with him, i.e. the Prophet, even if he wished to follow him, and he, the Prophet, will not prevent any of his companions from staying in Mecca if the latter wants to stay. When the Prophet entered Mecca and the time limit passed, the Meccans went to Ali and said, tell your friend, i.e. the Prophet, to go out, as the period, agreed to, has passed. So, the Prophet went out of Mecca. The daughter of Hamza ran after them, i.e. the Prophet and his companions, calling, O uncle! O uncle! Ali received her and led her by the hand and said to Fatima, take your uncle's daughter. Zayd and Jafar quarreled about her. Ali said, I have more right to her as she is my uncle's daughter. Jafar said, she is my uncle's daughter, and her aunt is my wife. Zayd said, she is my brother's daughter. The Prophet judged that she should be given to her aunt, and said that the aunt was like the mother. He then said to all, you are from me and I am from you, and said to Jafar, you resemble me both in character and appearance, and said to Zayd, you are our brother, in faith, and our freed slave. Summary. The Prophet made a treaty with the people of Mecca and was allowed to enter for 3 days. He then left peacefully, and when his daughter ran after him, he judged that she should be given to her aunt. Sahih al-Bukhari 2700. Narrated al-Bara bin Azib, on the day of Hudaibya, the Prophet made a peace treaty with the al-Mushrikin on 3 conditions: the Prophet would return to them any person from al-Mushrikin, polytheists, idolaters, pagans. 2 al-Mushrikin pagans would not return any of the Muslims going to them, and 3 the Prophet and his companions would come to Mecca the following year and would stay there for 3 days and would enter with their weapons in cases, e.g., swords, arrows, bows, etc. Abu Jandal came hopping, his legs being chained, but the Prophet returned him to al-Mushrikin. Summary. The Prophet made a peace treaty with the al-Mushrikin on 3 conditions, one of which was that the Prophet would return any person from al-Mushrikin to them. Explanation. In the first hadith is about the Prophet Muhammad's peace treaty with the people of Mecca. When they refused to let him in until he agreed to stay for only 3 days, he wrote a document that stated his agreement. When it came time for him to leave, one of his relatives ran after them and asked if she could come too. The Prophet Muhammad judged that she should be given to her aunt instead of either Zayd or Jafar, who were arguing over who would take care of her. This hadith teaches us about making peaceful treaties and agreements, as well as how important it is to make wise judgments in difficult situations. It also shows us how much respect the Prophet Muhammad had for family ties by giving preference to the girl's aunt over 2 men who were arguing over her caretaking rights. In the second hadith, the Prophet Muhammad made a peace treaty with the polytheists and idolaters known as the al-Mushrikin on 3 conditions. One of these conditions was that if any person from the Mushrikin came to him, he would return them back to their people. This is an example of how even in times of war and conflict it is important to show mercy and kindness towards others. An example of this is when Abu Jandal came hopping with his legs chained, but despite this, the Prophet still returned him back to his people. This hadith teaches us that we should always strive for peace and justice even in difficult situations and not resort to violence or aggression as our first option.